Topic number 2, the Xbox reset and the Bethesda layoffs. While everyone is celebrating the return of Fallout, myself included, this move actually does come at a devastating cost. So let's look at the darker side of this Xbox restructure, because it's not all roses here. It's kind of shitty. It wasn't just Obsidian or Bethesda that was hit with layoffs either. There were some other studios that unfortunately came out not too great. id Software, the ones behind Doom, if you don't know, which you should, they lost a lot of people too, which really sucks. Obsidian, of course, like we said, they lost a whole bunch of people too, mostly probably people who were working on the Avowed sequel, but who knows? Bethesda lost people too. But in that regard, when it comes to Bethesda, there was a lot of, what did Asha say? Somewhere it was around 14 layers of management before things could get done, which is insane. They have to go through 14 people. That's a lot of middle management. So some of these layoffs were probably justified, but you don't know because some of it might have been the little guys getting cut, and that really sucks. Xbox cancels Avowed 2 and puts Obsidian to work on a new Fallout game. Yep, multiple projects said to have been dropped at Obsidian. A new report came out today about the future of Xbox Studio Obsidian, with Bloomberg's well-known reporter Jason Schreier claiming that the company will focus on a new Fallout game going forward, and not a sequel to Avowed. Schreier says that progress on Avowed 2 had been going well, and it would have been announced within the next year, but it doesn't fit into the new Xbox boss Asha Sharma's plans. Nevertheless, a small number of people will continue working on it until Fallout is ready, just in case it could be revived at some point in the future. So they're still retaining a small team. They still have people kind of working on it here and there, but for the most part, it's like it's on life support. Realistically, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but I mean that's kind of where it is. It's like they're just enough to keep it alive, but we're not gonna like focus all of our time and attention into it. Instead, the focus now is for studio design directors Josh Sawyer to lead the new Fallout game, although it's said the emerging strategy is still in flux and that it still could change. Obsidian also plans to keep working on new content for The Outer Worlds 2 and Grounded 2. However, Sawyer was apparently working on a role-playing game that's seemingly getting the boot along with Avowed 2. The belief is that Obsidian lost around 25% of its workforce as part of the Xbox layoffs this week, and this report does mention that multiple projects have been canned at the studio, although we didn't know of any of them publicly. As always, we warn you that this is just reported information and nothing is official. And even Schreier himself said the plans could change. That said, he's a reporter with a strong track record, so it's most likely on the money. So they lost quite a bit of people to this, which really sucks. The human cost here is 1,600 roles. Xbox eliminated approximately 1,600 roles this week, with approximately 3,200 jobs to be cut by the end of June 2027. That's crazy. That's a lot of jobs lost. And you have to wonder how many of those are actual like boots on the ground developers and not just middle managers, because you know it's probably a lot of devs, which really sucks. According to official documents obtained by GameFile reporter Stephen Totio, Obsidian Entertainment is set to lose 52 workers as part of Xbox restructure. This includes 43 workers at the California offices and 9 remote workers. Bloomberg previously estimated it was around a quarter of its workforce. It's still pretty significant. That's pretty big. Yeah, so it's not great. It sucks anytime that anybody loses their job as a result of poor management. And that's realistically what a lot of this was. It at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how poorly the managers, did things, or it doesn't matter what mistakes the managers made, because those mistakes, ultimately, the consequences fall on the people that were hired as a result of them. So you have all of these people who are coming into work who now don't have a job, who were promised that they would have a job under the previous leadership, CEO Phil Spencer, which really sucks. I mean, it's not great. Phil had this. He wanted to bring everybody in and give everybody a chance because they figured that their big titles like Call of Duty would subsidize essentially their other studios. And it would just pay for itself, and they could just bring anyone and everyone in, and yes, you can have a job, you can have a job, you can have a job. He was literally Oprah out here just giving out jobs to people, and then it crashes and burns, which really sucks. Some would say that's just the way the business goes, and I mean, they're right, but it doesn't make it any easier on people who are losing their jobs. So yeah, it's not great, and it sucks, and gaming right now in general, the news coming out of the gaming world just sucks. I hate it as a gamer. I hate seeing the industry going through such hard times, but the hope is that on the horizon are better times. Like this picture here. And so then the next part of this is going to be the union resistance, if you will. Employees at Bethesda Game Studios are terrified, rightfully so. Their internal union, 1BGS, has officially announced a nationwide strike or protest set for this Wednesday, July 15th, to fight the layoffs. So this is upcoming. It's not happened yet. So we're going to look at this too. So unionized workers at Bethesda Studios plan a nationwide protest against recent layoffs on July 15th. There was also, I don't know if you guys saw this. We talked about this on stream last night. They literally had a memorial in their studio in these locations. I believe in Dallas. Shout out. That's my city. That's where I'm from. So it should come as little surprise that members of Bethesda Game Studios Union 1BGS are not about to take the layoffs of hundreds at studios like ZeniMax Online Studios lying down. According to an email, from the union's mobilizing committee obtained by game developer 1BGS, is urging members to join in a protest rally on Wednesday, July 15th. The Save Our Devs March is set to take place at ZeniMax offices located in Rockville, MD, Austin, and Dallas, Texas, and Montreal, Canada, in a sign of solidarity to show that its members mean business, and to address what 1BGS characterizes as a corporate attempt to skirt the rights of workers. Microsoft and BGS are trying to frame these cuts as an entrepreneurial change in the scope of business, claiming they are transitioning from a studio-based business model to a franchise-based business model. To dodge their legal obligation to bargain the decision with us, the email charges. We completely reject this corporate wordplay. Changing a title on a PowerPoint slide does not erase our legal right to a say in our working conditions. So, yeah, this is not looking good. I don't know what I hope that this actually goes the way that they're wanting it to. It depends on how many people actually stand up and fight for what's right. And I think that it's 100% justifiable. As we talked about earlier, it's not right that Microsoft comes in and does these layoffs and puts people out of jobs who are unionized just to avoid having unions, which I'm sure some of this was, in fact, yes, it was a decision that was made to cut costs. But I also think that, yeah, 100%, this was also, they were trying to get rid of unions because they don't like them. The Xbox CEO Asha Sharma has been officially named as a member of one of 5 U.S. Federal Reserve task forces. Interesting. Specifically, one intended to assess the economic impact of new general-purpose technologies, including artificial intelligence, to inform the Federal Reserve's policy judgments. What her duties in this role will be are unclear, but perhaps thousands losing their jobs to chase unreasonable profit margins and very likely fuel Microsoft's wider AI ambitions could certainly bring some educated guesses on her input in this regard. Interesting. That is really interesting. I didn't even know anything about that. Wow. Okay, so that said, we're going to hop on in. We're still right on track here, so we're going to move straight into the voice chat. Okay, so with all of that said, I'm going to start right down the row again. We're going to start with Billy here. So here's a question that I want to ask. How do you think that we balance the hype of a new Fallout with the fact that Avowed 2 was killed and 25% of the studio is laid off? Like, how do you balance that? Like, how do people, what do you think here? What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, I never hype anything. Like I mentioned earlier, I just wait until something's out. I don't pay too much mind on, the exact nuances. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to check this out. It's either good or it's bad. But obviously all the layoffs suck. It's just, you never want people to just lose their jobs. I'm kind of looping back to what we talked about originally. This is the only time I'm going to do this. But it is kind of a consequence when a bunch of developers sitting on several golden goose eggs just decides to sit on it and sit on it and sit on it and do nothing. Like this just happens. And it really fucking sucks, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right there. It does suck. And yeah, developers sitting on a golden goose egg, that's a great way to put it. I mean, Bethesda has sat on this IP for God knows how long now, and I think they expected 76 to carry it, which also is interesting. A talking point here, just really quick. There are speculations that 76 might be on its way to being sunsetted eventually, so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't know. Microsoft seems to be like they want that sweet, sweet live service money, but I think it's all starting to dry up, so they may see the writing on the wall and be preparing for that. Either way, moving on. Moss, I'm going to move on to you, and I'm going to ask the same question. How do you think we're supposed to balance the hype of all of this? We've got Avowed 2 getting killed, which sucks for Avowed fans. We've got 25% studio layoff or workforce layoffs happening. And then, of course, we've got we've got a new Fallout game, so everyone's supposed to be hyped for that. But then there's all this other negative crap. So how do you think about it? What are your thoughts?
Like Joker said, like I don't usually hype up too much stuff. Like maybe a few games over the years I'll hype up, like Destiny. I definitely hyped that game up for many, many years, still do. But it definitely sucks when you hear someone lose their job. But like honestly, like because I've lost many jobs over the years, so it definitely sucks, right? So I was
Yeah.
like, and then I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. It just sucks in general when you have layoffs happening like this. It's really shitty. The human cost is just, it's never going to outweigh the benefit that really comes out of this. Like it's exciting. It's awesome that we've got a new Fallout game, and finally Bethesda's being forced to actually, well, it's not even Bethesda anymore, but they're being forced to make something happen. But
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, all these people losing their jobs, it just sucks. And who's to say whether or not Microsoft is doing some shady shit in the background? They are a big corporation. They are not your friend. They are not here
yeah,
to be your friend. They're here to take your money. That's quite literally what they're there for. So, yeah.
yeah,
And we expect them to deliver. And I think that's kind of where Asha might be coming from, in the sense of like, we're expected to deliver products that people want, and that's how we're going to start making money. So we're going to start giving the people what they want. It just, unfortunately, to do that, they have to find a way to save money on the way there. And yeah,
yeah. That's the part that sucks.
it does. It sucks big time. Okay, so we're going to move on forward here. Kat, same thing. What do you think about all this, as far as like, how are we supposed to balance all this out? People are excited, of course, for the new Fallout game being in production, most likely now by Obsidian. But then, of course, we've got lots of people losing jobs and games getting canceled that some people probably wanted. Like, where are you at with
See,
this?
my opinions are because I don't even play these games, right?
Sure.
But I understand people being excited. But at the same time, like even thinking about games that I do play and stuff and stuff like this, say they were games I played and stuff. I'm too anti-capitalist for this to be like to actually be like, yeah, I'm gonna be hyped for this. I'm gonna be like, no, the union should actually. I was like, we should have unions and corporations can suck it. And honestly, Microsoft, they say they're cutting costs, right? I'm like, no, you're not cutting costs. I think that what they said is correct, that they're chasing unreasonable profit margins, and the people on the top are benefiting. Because I'm like, why not fire the CEO then? What's she getting paid?
Well,
Like, you want to cut costs? How about fire the people making all the money?
Well, I think really where this comes from, and here's my thoughts on it. Okay, I agree that unions are good. Unions are very important. I
Unions
also
are
agree
amazing.
that corporations are out to get your money and they're very greedy. I always try to stay somewhere in the middle with these thoughts. It's not the CEO, realistically, that should be faced. The CEO did step down. He was forced to retire or did retire, whatever happened. Phil Spencer was out. And then Sharma came in. And Sharma, she is now the one who's making all these aggressive moves to try to right the ship
Oh,
because Xbox was failing so hard. But what I
I,
think personally should have happened, which of course would have never happened, was that Todd Howard should have faced some serious consequences for his screw up and his mismanagement of the IP, because it was largely insinuated that within Bethesda Studios, nothing would ever get done without Todd basically saying, yeah, okay, Todd had to look at everything before it was able to be done, which is a lot of micromanaging. And that 14 layers of management crap, I guarantee, was coming out of Bethesda. So, yeah, it was really hard for them to do anything when Todd essentially made it to where he was, King Tut sitting up there and nothing could get done unless he was involved in it. And because he's so busy doing the Fallout TV show for some reason as an executive producer, or the Indiana Jones thing that was even weirder as an executive producer, I don't know. I think that you're right on the money when it comes to looking at the head of who's in charge. I agree 100%. But who it was is definitely, it should have been the leader of Bethesda, and that is Todd Howard. And then there was Emil Pagliari. I cannot say Emil's last name. I screw it up every single time, so I apologize. I'm not even going to try. But Emil and Todd definitely should have faced some pretty big consequences for this, and they didn't. Unfortunately, a lot of other people did. And that sucks. So, yeah.
When I say that, like, I think the CEO should just be, I just mean like everybody at the top, honestly.
Sure.
Like, I don't think they don't actually do anything other than mess stuff up. And if they don't mess stuff up, they're still not really doing anything that deserves the paycheck that they get.
I
So-
think
No, yeah.
Todd Howard saying it's okay for people to miss things is definitely not the thing that they wanted to hear, that Bethesda fans wanted to hear. And I think that's what triggered Asha Sharma to finally get aggressive and say we need to do something because we're losing our fans. And if we lose our fans, we lose this IP's value, and then it's done. Moving on, I have another question. We're going to go back to Billy here. So is the massive corporate consolidation of Xbox actively breaking these legendary studios? Do you think that this whole thing is going to screw a lot of these studios in the end, or what do you think?
Well, considering id Software has already been on the chopping block, and those are literally the pioneers of first-person shooter games. And I want to say there has never been a bad Doom game. I know Doom 3 was kind of controversial, but I don't think many people would straight up say Doom 3 was a bad game. But the huge layoffs at id Software, I mean, that's like going up to King Midas and cutting them in a little bit so we can't have any more instant easy gold. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, no, 100%. I absolutely agree there. I don't think it's looking great, you know, because we're gonna lose a lot of good studios in the process of all this. It's like we're gonna get some good stuff. We're gonna get, but at what cost? What cost is gonna come out of this? What are we gonna lose on the way there? And in the end, are we gonna be able to look back and say, it was so worth it. We finally got a good, you know, new Fallout game, but along the way we lost id Software. We've lost not even just out of Xbox. I mean, look at Sony. We've lost was it Blue Point Studio? We lost so many good dev studios as a result of this shit fest that has been the games industry over the last few years, and this corporate greed and this live service slop chasing. We've lost a lot along the way, and it's really upsetting, and it's hard as a gamer to be excited about the good news when at the cost of everything else we get that good news. It's crazy. And Moss, what do you think about this? I mean, do you think that this whole thing is kind of breaking these legendary studios up? Do you think that this is a good thing? I mean, or what do you think about the cost here?
I think it's honestly, sorry language, I think it's bullshit that they're doing to this to the studios. The little studios help make the big studios look good, and the big studios help the little studios look good. It's all like to me, your fucking family, pretty much, for the gaming studios and all the people that work for you, because they're gonna go home and be like, yeah, I just got fired from, say, Bungie or whatever. It's like, now I'm never gonna touch Microsoft or any, you know, like it's going to be detrimental to the gaming community to a point, but then they're going to make some killer games and make mad money again. So
we're going to
up and
lose a
down.
lot. We'll gain new things. I mean, that is such as life. That is the vicious cycle, but it still hurts and it sucks, especially for those of us who have been gaming since we were, you know, single digits, which that's all of us sitting in this chat right now. It sucks to see the studios that we knew and loved basically falling at the basically falling because of the fact that we have studios that have been, or studio heads rather, and CEOs and management in general that has horribly mismanaged all of this. It was, you know, we knew that things like this were coming. I've talked about this for a month and a half, 2 months now, where we knew that things were going to start coming down the line, and it sucks to see what we're going to lose in the process. The hope is that a lot of these studios, it's not just with Xbox again, but that are losing, you know, their funding, are going to get picked up by other publishers, and that some of them will be saved. But in the sense of, or in the case of Obsidian and people who are working on Avowed, or people at Bethesda, who's to say what's going to happen there? I mean, I feel like they could have moved some of them around, but again, I don't think they wanted to. And that's going to be a question that'll probably be asked: is were you able to move these people to other studios or not? If this does get investigated, which it realistically probably won't, but if it does, they have that as something in their back pocket. And then finally, Kat, what do you think about all of this here? I mean, do you think that do you think that it's breaking these studios, this whole consolidation and all this that's happening? I mean, I don't know if these studios are. The morale at these places has got to be shit. I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen here, but we'll wait and see. What do you think?
It's all bullshit.
Straight up. Straight up.
And I
I
feel
like
like
it.
it's just it's so. I know for like so. To me, what's happening in the game industry
Mhm.
and the lack of I'm glad that there is at least some unions because there's not a lot, right?
No, there's not,
Um,
unfortunately.
there's not a lot because it's such a because the gaming industry, back in the day, whenever I first was gaming, it wasn't cool to be a gamer. It was an
Yeah.
NES, and it was like,
You're a
that's the thing
nerd.
that the kids do, and the adults are just like, and
Yeah.
I think I'm the oldest one here, so like technically I've been gaming the longest.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, which is
But
good. We've got people from all. I started
yeah,
on PlayStation 1, so.
and because it's such a it's
Atari.
because because like when that happened, when like Nintendo revitalized the gaming industry and stuff like that, and it wasn't really seen, it wasn't mainstream yet, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't have the same history as other media industries, and it
Right.
doesn't have, so it never had like we've seen in recent days with like film and stuff where they've broken up unions and stuff like that. But
Yep.
it's like the gaming industry didn't even have those to begin with. They haven't had those protections, and
Yep.
historically speaking, artists get fucked hard in
Yep. They do.
industries and stuff. And when I say artists, I don't just mean like visual artists, but also like programmers and
Mhm.
and people who make music and all that other stuff, the
Of
writers,
course.
all that stuff. They get
Yep, because they're looked at as like a dime a dozen, whereas apparently these managers, it's like, oh, it's so hard to replace
these are
them.
highly
Yeah.
skilled, passionate people that just get screwed over because they're like, well, you're passionate, so you should just enjoy. And it's like, no, your work deserves like. They're just like,
Yes.
well, your work isn't even necessary. And I'm like, art is necessary. It's part of the human condition.
And you're an
right?
artist yourself, so you're very
Exactly.
passionate
Yeah.
about this, of course,
Yeah.
which should
And
be
it's just
said.
like I think and it's just it's what's happening is just like I just don't believe for a second that they're not going to screw over the actual developers, the programmers,
Yeah.
the writers, the animators, the people who make the musicians and stuff, because that's what they've always done and that's what they always will do. And there's not even many unions to break at this point, like because there were never any to begin with. Yeah, they're just going to get screwed. It's just going to be,
It's not gonna be great.
especially with how they are just, like going after AI the way they are, like wanting to use AI for everything. It's just,
Oh yeah,
it's
it's
just
everywhere.
bad right now. It's really bad.
It's everywhere. It's even in my industry. So yeah, it's bad. Um,
Yeah,
well, thank you for joining us, Kat. It's nice having you as always. We're gonna be going on to
I'm
one
gonna sit
final
here for
section.
another couple minutes, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Billy wanted to say something else before we wrap this segment up. So I'm gonna hand it over to Billy. Billy, what you got?
All right, yeah. So real quick, first, I actually want to add a little bit to it. This won't take long. Kat is exactly right. Like, I want to use one example. A lot of people might not like the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, but like if you ask anyone who's played it, it's like, what do you remember the most about Morrowind? Like just in general, like right off the cuff, they're gonna be like, oh, they're probably gonna say, oh, I remember the interesting art style. You know, we had these giant mushrooms, we had these weird silt strider creatures, and that starts with concept art from artists, and then it
Yep.
gets passed out over to 3D artists, texture artists, all that, and then it gets put in the game. But what I also wanted to say was I feel like people aren't pissed off enough about the id Software layoffs because these people pioneered an entire genre. And not only that, they pioneered gaming tech time and time and time again. All these systems, all these amazing engines that they've worked on, all these amazing games they've made. It was like I was saying, like about King Midas. It's like, what are you doing? Like that should be like the spinal cord of your whole talent, and you just rip it out. Like, what are you doing?
In the famous words of the sheriff and harvester.
You can't live without a spinal cord, son.
But yeah, no, 100%. I agree with
Exactly.
you there.
That's such a good point.
It's a great point, Billy. I'm really glad you joined us. I hope you join us again because you've had some great points. Yeah, people aren't pissed off enough, I don't think, about some of these layoffs, and especially not for ones like id Software. They're a huge casualty in the middle of all of this, and people aren't really realizing just how important they are. It's everyone's a number, unfortunately, in the corporate world, and it's sad because it never used to be this way. And I think this is a great topic to segue into. This is what happens when gaming becomes too corporatized, because we've talked about this before. If you remember, gaming used to be this more, and Kat said this earlier, gaming used to be this more, this underground, like, it wasn't the cool thing to do, right? It was like, oh, you're a nerd, you play video games, or you want to make video games, that's you're a nerd, you know, that's geek stuff, you know? Now, gaming is the cool thing to do, and everyone wants to have their gamer PC, and everybody wants to have their consoles, and you know, with the RGB lights everywhere, and gaming is everywhere. It's everywhere that you look. It's everything that you see. And because of that popularity, because it came out of the underground, it's now a popular thing, and companies want to make money off of that stuff. It's the unfortunate nature of the beast. And so companies like id Software, or rather developers like id Software, the studios, they suffer the most because of this, because corporate people don't give a shit. They don't understand. Corporations don't understand anything but money. That's all they understand. They don't understand that there is so much history and so much legacy. They can release whatever statements they want to try to say, oh, we realize the impact this has in the industry because id Software, the pioneer. They could put out their statements, whatever they want to say. They don't give a crap at the end of the day about these studios, because they're not making them any money. id Software put out Doom: The Dark Ages. It didn't do very well, unfortunately, and they got the axe. Like, it sucks. So yeah, no, it sucks to see this happen, and that's the unfortunate reality of when gaming goes corporate, mainstream. Corporations come in and try to suck up all the money. I think what we're going to see, this is my opinion, okay? This is my opinion. So watching this on YouTube, go ahead and cancel me if you want to right now. This is my opinion. I think what's going to happen is there's a rise and a fall. Gaming, we're in the fall right now. It's going to go back underground. It's not going to be like it was. I've said this over and over again. It will not be like the gaming crash of the 80s. It will not be. We are in the fall right now. I don't even know if it's necessary to call it or necessarily right to call it a crash, but it is definitely, we are in the downward trend, and the corporations are trying to do everything they can to hold on and get that money. And I think what they're going to find is that people might be too pissed off at this point. And to what Billy was saying, it might be a good thing if people do start getting pissed off about some of these things that have happened, because gamers will start rising up and saying, yeah, we don't want you here anymore. Take your money and fucking leave, because we can fund indie developers ourselves. Do you know how many people get funded? I watch on a daily basis. Look at Paralives. Paralives came 6 years in the making, and it was funded completely by the community. Games don't always need big corporations with big pockets. It's like, if they want to make something crazy, blockbuster style, great, but people are starting to get sick and tired of seeing those things, and now it's starting to take a different turn. We're starting to see games that are lower fidelity, lower in visual quality, but higher in the quality of the writing and the content that's there and the things that are there. Look at all of these indie games that have come out of nowhere and completely dominated the industry. Schedule 1 was is still one of my favorite games, made by one single person. And he's probably a millionaire now. And this was one single person who made this game, and it just, by happenstance, blew up. People are happy to throw money at game devs so long as they're actually doing the things that we want them to do. Corporations see that, and now they're thinking, maybe we should do that too. But the problem is that when you start falling for those things, it becomes a slippery slope. And that's what's happened. Corporations came in, and they brought us in, and they lured us in, and then they started this crap, and we had the live service slop, and now they cashed in on what they could, and I think gamers are starting to get tired of it. At least I hope. But they do have a dedicated base of people who still will come in and play FIFA and Madden and all the other crap that they'll throw out, Call of Duty, that people will play. And I'm sorry to say it, but even games like Destiny brought in a new generation of people that didn't really understand the core aspect of where we came from as gamers. It's great that gaming grew. Growth is an amazing thing, but this is the product of growth. This is what happens when things grow and they get bigger. Ultimately, the lines start to blur and we start to forget where we came from. And I think gaming and gamers have lost sight of where gaming came from, and that was these little studios that started out in a little office space with the old big computer. I mean, go back and look at Bethesda's like the making of Oblivion, and look at the studio that the space that they were in at the time. Look at some of these other smaller studios and where they started at and how they began. Gaming studios used to be this very small organic thing, and over time it's grown, and the money has followed, and that's why it's grown. So